Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth in terms of understanding psychopathic manipulation, particularly that is roused through anger, and that is roused through force, that which is roused through intimidation, and that which is then sets them off. The anger, the people who then you will see then sort of a psychopath rage. So, a psychopath, if you've ever understood, they have a limited range of emotions. I mean, they have a more limited spectrum than other people. Usually it's just sort of one of dominance or aggression, and then one of anger. So they when they have that dominant sort of psychopath trailblazing mentality, that they're just going to go fearlessly after whatever it is that they want. And once again, not just like an achiever, someone who's ambitious, someone who has following their calling. We're talking about aggression. We're talking about lack of empathy. We're talking about lack of conscience, lack of moral judgment, right or wrong, an inability to learn from past mistakes because of the way that the wiring is in their brain. They have reduced activity in the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. So their repertoire of true, I would say, emotions is limited, as most studies have shown, down to that sort of dominance or aggression, and then that of rage, which you might sort of figure as the temper tantrum, the bully syndrome, the aggressive, the dominance, the one that they can pull one over on you. They can outsmart you, outwit you, outlie you so that you have no idea of what is going on. I mean, it becomes an impenetrable vacuum when they seek to manipulate in this way. And there's can feel very much like a lot of pressure when you witness this rage. But the anger, it's really very unsubstantiated. So if you've ever seen sort of this psychopath rage, it's very out of place. It's not appropriate for the time and circumstances. It just doesn't warrant it. Yet they will make it seem as if. So they might act very immature, start literally kicking and pounding a door, pounding a window. God knows whatever else they're going to do. Make threats. Of course, the scowling, growling look. The look of hatred, or really, it's really when you see that erupt, it's more because you are an obstacle. You are in their way. Their psychopathic dominance is trying to be kind of on their blueprint, if you will, and then you're like, hey there, just trying to I'm a human, I have needs, this isn't right, this isn't fair. So when you come at that with your normal, everyday, I am approach, you are perceived as an obstacle. This is when you're going to get the rage. This is when you're going to get the bully. This is when you're going to get that other negative, sort of the rage, the tantrum, if they're not lying, putting on their best, their best act, putting on their best behavior. I mean, it's all a manipulation. So they're not well behaved. They are putting on their best behavior. So you must understand the difference. We really get into the nitty gritty here. I am sorry, but it is so important for people who have undergone psychopathic abuse to understand the mechanics of what is going on. I don't care if it seems absurd, a lot, detail-oriented, very specific, but until you can really undo and understand what has gone on, will you still be then held under their control, controlled by their anger, living fearfully. I mean, all these different things. So you need to really sort of knock it out of the park when it comes to understanding these manipulative mechanics. And these can be individuals, these can be communities, whatever you're finding the situation. I know everybody has their own situation and their own story. So realize that when you see this this rage, sort of this temper tantrum, it's usually very unfounded. It's like, you're blowing up, and it seems very like you might not have seen this out of them before. And it just seems like it's usually very, very short-lived, and then it just sort of fades out. And then they don't really remember that they have done anything wrong because they don't feel that they've done anything wrong. If you are in their way, you're going to get the blow up. So it's not that you have done anything wrong. It's you've merely been present. I mean, just like Louis C.K. in one of his jokes, as a baby, all I had to do was say wah, and I was in trouble. I mean, all you have to do is be there, and then you're the wrongdoer. I mean, so you can't win for losing. If you laugh, you can't win. If you don't laugh, you can't win. I mean, so there is no winning with them. It's what was the old saying? Flip the coin, heads you win, tails I lose. No matter what, you cannot keep them in check. They've always got sort of part of their tactics is just how can they weasel out, slither out, slime out, Houdini out, poof, and then they're gone out of accountability. And very, I mean, some people, oh, they're just so smooth, or a lot of people then will interpret this and give them the old, touche, you're very ambitious. Or a lot of people, if they don't see this, and then what they do to others, oftentimes, they're blinded by the truth because they have bought into the manipulation of, quote unquote, their best behavior. It's not authentic, it is their best behavior. So if you then are not in alignment with their will, in other words, if you don't help them pave their path to get whatever it is that they want, the psychopath dominance, okay, the psychopath win, they're right, whatever it is. Maybe they just want to not deal with you. They don't want to be accountable. You are in their way. Do you see? So you don't even have to have been in their way. You are just treated as in their way. This is how a psychopath views things. So there's very much a pressure or a stress that the psychopath will then, if you're around them, will try to get you to conform and live under this stress and under this pathology. And then you end up suffering because you are in confusion. It is nebulous. You hit the gray spots. You don't know where you end and, you stop. You don't know boundaries. You don't know your shelter. You don't know your I am. Things are confusing. I mean, it's very serious. Anyway, and then this anger, you will usually get when you are onto something, you are getting closer to something or trying to clarify something, and they will then freak out, i.e., it's always, and just like Dr. Bernstein talks about in his book, Emotional Vampires, usually the vagueness increases as you get closer to the center of the issue. So when you're trying to assert yourself or just say, that you were supposed to do this and this in the business, or what happened to this and this file, or you're just you're sticking up for yourself. You're not going to treat me this way. You're not going to treat my child this way. You're not going to treat my parents this way. You're not going to treat my coworker this way, or you're not going to treat me this way. Eventually, is what you don't need to be under this heavy-handed hostility. A lot of people, I think, because they're married, or they're living, under the same roof, that they feel that all they have to do is all that they can do is put up with it and tolerate it, and they never call it out. They never speak the truth. They never resolve it. I mean, this is part of their tactics. So the seething anger gets more intense when you are closer to clarifying things. And usually it's something that just should be comfortable to be clarified. I mean, it's just not like it's not usually a big ask. You didn't return the phone call to the client. You didn't show up to the meeting. Why didn't you give me the follow-up on this? And that, and if they're trying to weasel something out of you, usually there's some motive that if you're on the hunch to something, and then you're just sort of, you're standing up for what is right, or just period, end of story, not even an opinion, just basic fairness or basic common sense. This is when you're going to get the rage. And people are usually then so taken aback that they then accept that they are in the wrong, or they're overreacting, or maybe I am in the wrong. And so then you're believing the lie that they will then project. So then they have got you under their control, and then you'll just keep being fearful yourself. They don't even have to continue to do the work. It's so amazing, because I was just thinking about this through my studies about a week ago, and then I'm reading a similar thing in this book, that this Dr. Bernstein and we are definitely on the same page. It's like he's writing about something that I had also occurred to me as part of the manipulation. So it's a way for them to allow your nervous system to unravel you, throw you off, sabotage you. If they can get you, who would in their right mind would want to create anger and fear in another person? To me, that's the antithesis of my very being. Why would you? It just seems so counterproductive or counterintuitive. But then again, you have to understand that some people seek to dominate through this aggression, through this lack of conscience, this lack of empathy, this heartlessness, this coldness and callousness. Once again, we're not just talking about a typical difficult, we're talking about really, really significant impairment of life. We're talking about something real existential here as a word, meaning very important. It really taps into the higher consciousness of existence. And what it means to be human. So for a lot of people who have found themselves on this journey, you have found yourself on this journey, and it's like you have to say amen to that, because it'll give you a glory, I think, of uplifting and exuberance once you realize that you are supported by the good and the truth in the big picture. Do you see? So it's like back to the old, the cheater cannot win. In other words, if it's founded on immorality, then the base is going to crumble. People get away with things, but this is just what I'm trying to explain to you, that you have to understand this is part of their pattern, and they become addicted to this aggressiveness. So especially now with the pandemic, you think that a lot of people would back down from this, but I think, even for those types of people, I really, they're still modifying and adjusting to do whatever their agenda is. So be very well aware, and be able to, now that you can sort of let the dust settle or the fog clear, begin to be comfortable looking at objective reality, because the psychopath will put you into an altered mind state, an altered state. It's all of a sudden you can be bam. Literally, they just, if you've seen it, it oftentimes, it's a very short-lived, but it's very inappropriate, and depending on where it's directed, and like the Dr. Bernstein says, it is very exhausting to be yelled at. It is very exhausting to constantly have a fight of existence. We're talking about existential stuff. So it can be very pressurized and very anxiety-inducing, and people are then not running on their right mind, their right gut, their right cylinder, their right fuel, their right, strength. They're on something else. It's like a mixture of gasoline that really isn't supposed to be mixed in the tank. So if you don't do their will, this is where they, do you see how, if you can look back and understand what is their will, what is their need, what are they trying to get? And if you are not in alignment with their will, which is their agenda, oftentimes which means you sometimes just because you're present, you are an obstacle. You're in their way. So that's how they treat you. You are not in the way. You're just present and you're aware. I mean, that's all you have to be. I mean, there's no guilt in that. So realize that they will do this as a utilitarian way, and they will use others strictly in a utilitarian way. Meaning that if you, it's like a stepping stone, I guess you would say it, but there's usually something that they want or to appear or to come off as if. And again, it's, and if you cannot use, if they cannot use you to get to their mission, which is pre-calculated and predetermined even before they met you, so you just have to understand that, then you are going to be perceived as an obstacle. So don't feel that you're an obstacle. Don't feel out of place. Don't let them push you around. Don't feel that you don't belong. These are all the sort of outsider experiences that they can give to push you away, to push you aside, so you feel that you don't belong. Do you see? So that you are isolated. So these are the core of social psychology and what you need for a foundation for a healthy sense of self, self-esteem, and sort of being able to own your strength. For people I feel who have really been exposed to a lot of this, they have, a lot of what I would call in psychology, which is called negative validation. So they don't even feel like they own a positive sense of self. It's a very, very sad psychological development that really doesn't get fulfilled. So it's okay to be different than a psychopath. It is okay to be truth-based. It is okay to not live in chaos. It's okay not to live in this pressure. It's okay not to be treated as an obstacle. It's okay to not feel that you have to hide. It's okay for you to be in existence. You are part of this world. You are part of this world, and you are part of this world. So, I mean, really, there is so much to talk about on that topic, but I think we'll wrap it up there, and we'll take up a little bit more concepts in future video. I think this is a great realization, and I mean, it's a great viewer question. So this is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and for goodness sake, please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Realize that really the manipulation of these types of individuals, you have to be able to sort of step out of the boxing ring. I think that's kind of the way I put it. Just step out of the boxing ring. Don't go in and battle the bully. Do not fight fire with fire. Do not engage. Do not be a counterforce to their force. Do not take the sword up and go touche. Do not try to outwit or outsmart these individuals. Do not try to say, but this is the truth. They do not care. They have no qualms, morals, judgment, etc., etc. This is just what they do. And when you really come to understand and accept, then you can come and to accept and understand safety and existing and being okay and relationships that are happy, that aren't based on manipulation, but that are based on authenticity and, are engaged in from a positive foundation of value and appreciation of some sense of self, even if it has been somewhat damaged from this type of experience. Have a beautiful day.